I got a lot of pushback on my last video case study. You saw last week how I was able to dominate page 1 of Google and ChatGPT for my target keyword with really very little work. This is part of my ongoing open case study where I'm going to build out a ton of SEO agency domain names to try and dominate a load of different niches and industries. But there's been some skepticism, and rightly so. People saying, obviously, you built loads of backlinks very quickly, you sent lots of user engagement very quickly, this is all temporary, and your domain is going to tank in a very short amount of time. You are just inflating all the metrics for the purposes of a YouTube case study. And this is just not true. While I agree we need to be diligent, and there's plenty of bad actors out there, this is just simply not the case. It's been about a week since I actually worked on that domain. Now if I open a new tab and search SEO for nursing homes, we'll skip past the ads, and we can see I've still got the number 1 result, and in fact I've got the AI overview as well, and the number 1 source in the AI overview, and you can see that there. Now granted, that was a purple link that I've clicked before, so let's do incognito, and again SEO for nursing homes. I'm going to accept all of those, skip past the ads. In this case I'm number 1 and I'm above the AI overview. For certain keywords you can absolutely do that, and I've got the number 1 result in the AI overview itself, and then I've got my video down here as well. And let's not forget, right now I am searching from the UK, whereas through that case study I was very much clutching at straws, where because this site was only just starting to rank, it wasn't showing up in Ahrefs yet, and it was only really performing in the US because I've got a .com, because I was building lots of US links and US engagement. If I was searching personally from the UK without any geo-targeting, then I just wasn't showing up. Whereas actually now, a week later, I am dominating the UK. So if anything, my presence with this domain is only growing. And what's more, I said before I didn't have Ahrefs because it was too new. Ahrefs has simply not had time to actually crawl those different keywords, different search results, and pick up that my domain had appeared in the last few days. Well, now it's a week later, and we can see I'm ranking for 13 keywords with an organic traffic estimate of 251 visitors per month. And because those keywords have got a high CPC value, as in people want that traffic, they're bidding on it with Google Ads, the value of that traffic, had we got it from ads rather than organic, would be $1,200 per month. This is a domain that cost around $10 to $15, and has probably had less than $100, $200 spent on it in order to achieve $1,200 per month in traffic value. We can look at those individual keywords, we can see the traffic graph is going up. Now, I was only targeting the pretty small keyword of SEO for nursing homes that gets searched 200 times a month, but actually what's happened now is we're now ranking for SEO for care homes, which gets a much bigger 500 searches a month, and we're positioned 2. Then we've got nursing home SEO as well, 300 searches a month. And then we've got much bigger keywords in the works as well. Care home SEO, SEO services for healthcare. They're at 33 and 49. Longer term, we might even be able to rank for these 1,000 and 2,000 searches a month keywords, healthcare SEO services and healthcare SEO companies. Now, what are the limitations of this? Because some of those criticisms do actually have some significance. And the biggest one is recency. So when you register an exact match domain, get it ranked, get content on there, you do tend to be on page 1 for a couple of weeks, and then it does die off. So there is a recency bias. And at that point, you've got to start working your way back up again using backlinks. Equally, it's fresh content, and content freshness does help. So even though pages do tend to age and improve over time with SEO, that's basically based on the age of the actual URL, the inner page. But the content that's actually on that page does experience a bit of a bump if you go through and rewrite it now and then. And that's recommended every 3 to 6 months or so. So in this case, we're layering new content, new domain, and it's fresh content. Whereas 3 to 6 months down the line, you might want to look at revamping that content. And the same goes for information gain. So you saw this was basic AI content that I put out in about 5 minutes. Is that really going to stick? And generally it does, especially for these kinds of service-based keywords. But especially for long-term results, it is recommended you still try and add in what we call information gain. So unique insights and resources that adds to the discourse of the internet. But the idea that AI content doesn't rank at all, it just doesn't hold weight. So this domain may well start to die off over the next few weeks and months if we don't keep up building backlinks, refreshing content, making sure that site stays alive. But the idea that this is suddenly going to get flagged for AI content is then going to disappear off the internet, it just doesn't add up. I've obviously got plenty of websites like this, and if they're neglected, yes, they can move on to page 2, but then it doesn't take much to bring them back up onto page 1 again. They're not just suddenly obliterated from the internet. Now, if you want to find out more, including how I actually find these really valuable exact match domains, then you can join my free school community. I've got a load of great resources in there. The exact match domain hunter course, the automated link building tool and SOP that I use to get that domain ranked, and some various other ebooks. And I've now fully migrated my premium paid community, the Disciples of SEO Jesus, onto school. So this is where I'm much more involved and present, and steadily I've been moving over all of my flagship courses into this community. So you've already got all my Disciples Mastermind call recordings. We've got the Agency Ascension course, how you can take your small consultancy where you might only be making $5,000 to $10,000 per month, and how you can properly systemize and scale that to the 50 to 100 grand a month. But most importantly, my one-page websites method. And this goes through every step of finding these domains and ranking them and forming profitable partnerships with them. So if that was of interest to you, then first join the Church of SEO Jesus. You'll then receive a welcome message, and in that welcome message there's an invitation to join the Disciples. I'm still migrating the content over, and so for that reason the monthly fee is actually stupidly low. I need to fix that today ideally. But if you get in quickly, then you might well get access to thousands of dollars worth of courses for a shockingly low monthly fee that I should not allow. But if you get in quick, I might not have got around to it yet. I also need to add in my new Reddit tutorial. You can see here I've just received a affiliate payment of $8,000. That was from a single Reddit comment on a single Reddit thread. And that's been making me $4,000 per month. But back to the task in hand, SEO for nursing homes. It's not just a flash in the pan. I didn't just take a quick snapshot of when it just happened to be fresh and ranking after I'd done a load of work on it. It's a week later and it's only growing so far. But now I want to finally move on to my next domain. So you can go back to my introduction to this series, where I talked about all the domain names I bought for these keywords, and also how I'm then turning these domains back into their constituent keywords to then find which keyword I want to target next. I think it was the 100k a month traffic value watch me rank 50 sites video where I started that. So now we've had a win, I want to be a bit more ambitious. So we're currently sorting by search volume. The dental niche is very tempting, but I think for today I actually want to go ahead with criminal defense attorney SEO. Because law firm SEO, that's an incredibly lucrative space. Law firm SEO budgets are easily within the tens of thousands of dollars per month. And you can see we've got decent volume there. It's more than the volume for SEO for nursing homes. And we've got a very high CPC value, $35 per click. In fact, if I sort by CPC value, then we can see it's one of the top. So we've got law firm SEO specialist, lawyer SEO company. In fact, yeah. So the law niche generally, those are the most expensive keywords, with honourable mention to orthodontist. But of the law firm keywords, criminal defense attorney SEO is the biggest, and I like the fact it's actually much more niche. That implies it's probably not that competitive. So DR of 64 and 83, that's pretty tough. We've got a 63, but there is a 24 there, and they're still getting 100 visitors a month. So that's some reassurance, and we've got a few 40s there. So it's not guaranteed, but there's a reasonable chance that the power of an exact match domain, with everything else I'm going to throw at it, could well be enough to rank on this search result. And that DR of 24 is getting a value of $2,600 per month. So if I'm not willing to invest $2,000 once in SEO and link building, which DR24 should be feasible, then those economics don't make sense. Why would you not spend 10k up front to make 100k for life? I say for life, I mean for the next year or whatever. But getting to a domain rating of 24 is not that expensive, and if that gets me $2,600 a month in value, I am okay with that. This is the mistake people make, that people think SEO is free traffic, and therefore they're only willing to spend $500 on it. SEO is an investment like any other. Even if you're running paid ads, your ads aren't going to be optimized and performing in month one. You're not just turning on a magic tap. And I'm always having to say to clients, if you've got some magic money source where you know you can spend this much in month one and make this much profit in month one, then please tell me because I want it. So we're always going to be rolling the dice a little bit. That's just how markets, competition, and economies work. But in this case, might have to spend a bit of money, but if that can get me even 10% of 400 criminal defense attorney leads per month, and each click is worth $35, then that's worth going after. Right, I've now hosted this .com domain, criminaldefenseattorneyseo.com. Now, as promised in this series, I want to give you a whole range of different ways to rank a site. So make sure you watch the full series. I'm covering loads of different techniques. So with that, you're probably quite tired of me just using the AI website builder Extendify and dropping some surfer text at the bottom. So can we be cleverer? And absolutely we can. So I'm going to add a new page. And currently we're in the Gutenberg editor, the visual WordPress editor that came out a few years ago. But I'm actually going to ignore that, and all these AI templates, I'm ignoring those as well. And I'm going to jump over to where it says code editor. So I've gone to ... and switched to code editor, which supports HTML. And I'm actually going to try and design and build this website using Claude. But first, we still need optimized content. Claude cannot produce the optimized content we actually need. So let's go back to our keywords and grab criminal defense attorney SEO. In fact, you're probably bored of me using Surfer as well. So I've also got a subscription to Page Optimizer Pro. This is a very similar tool. Now, this was actually created by Carl Roof, one of the titans of the industry, who I'm now very blessed to call my friend. And he's famous for doing lots of testing, single variable testing, where he'll basically create his own search result that he controls. Basically, by creating nonsense keywords that no one else is targeting, he can then play around by taking that nonsense keyword and putting it in a H2 or a H1 or in a lower paragraph or an upper paragraph, or changing the keyword density. How does that shift the search results? And it's with all those learnings that he built Page Optimizer Pro. So we're going to go into on-page optimization and create new. We're going to go with Pop Pro, and we're going to add in our main keyword here. Target language is English, United States. We're not going to put a path because it says leave empty for the homepage, which is what we want. And why not? Let's use Google's NLP API, EEAT analysis, next-gen EEAT analysis, why not? If you're not already aware, EEAT is expertise, experience, authority, and trust. These are some of those more hidden ranking factors where, especially Google's manual quality rater guidelines, they really talk about trying to work out who is a credible source to actually talk about this. So depending on your niche, you might want to include more author profiles, industry leader interviews, LinkedIn accounts, anything like that to sort of map together that you are a trusted authority on this subject. And for the page name, it's still just going to be the keyword. Now, the reason I don't use this as often in my tutorials is for the simple reason that it is next level. The way I see it, these kinds of on-page analysis tools, there's kind of a sort of tier list or even a grid where complexity and precision has to somehow trade off with usability. So one of the originals was by Ted Kubatis, which was Cora, and that gives you this level of analysis. It's more like a spreadsheet. So I know lots of people who swear by this and say it's the ultimate, but it's quite hard to use. A lot easier now that we've got all these AI tools. Surfer, on the other hand, is very mass market, easy to use, and overall I'd say pretty simple. Page Optimizer Pro, I feel, is kind of in the middle. So it's not quite as simple, out of the box and intuitive as Surfer, but it's not like you're downloading a load of spreadsheets and then having to look at those fields and try and implement them on your page. But again, all I'm actually going to do is copy all of these recommendations and requirements into my LLM prompt. Okay, that's now generated. So we can now open the report, or we could just straight use their AI writer. Now, this is pretty nice because my problem with a lot of these AI writers is they don't really allow much customization. Because in my case, I want to pitch how we don't just want to rank for criminal defense attorney SEO. We want to establish how basically this is a satellite website powered by SEO Jesus, the expert in law firm SEO. So there's guided writing and there's auto writing. But in this case, first let's open the report and look at the underlying requirements. So you can see this is the audit in terms of what we need to include, which is keywords, NLPs. You see it's broken down there, Google NLP, standard NLP. So there's a lot of analysis going on here. EEAT analysis is now here. So this is basically looking at all our competitors, everything I've included, including organization schema, which I often skip over, but in this case might be relevant. And we see things like About Us page, customer service page. There's often been theories that having these pages on your website do help. So now the default WordPress installation seems to include more and more of these, depending on your host and how you set it up. That's all helping. And then we've got our full recommendation of schema to include. So this is the way we can really cleverly instruct Google that this subpage is basically a satellite of SEO Jesus. SEO Jesus itself is just a brand name of my actual company name, and we can verify all of that with structured data to convince Google that we're a proper business. I'm registered in the UK. We've got a lot of brand authority in SEO Jesus, so we can get that implemented as well. So let's now open this in Content Editor. We can click to start. Now this is more like what we recognize from Surfer. Now in this case, I'm just going to copy the whole lot. So you can see how this is a little more detailed. We've got subheadings and headings, so where actually on the page all these keywords and LSI should be. That's all very car roof style, because it's not just getting the keywords on the page, it's are they in the heading and which paragraph should they be in. So I'm literally just going to dump all this into Claude, and I've got a separate tab of content prompts. So I'm also going to dump all of this. We've got competitors titles in there. Let's open these up correctly. It's not letting us do that. So I'm just going to say, right, oops, I've accidentally pressed enter, so it's now going to, I think, start digesting and writing. So I'm just going to grab our domain. I'm going to say, right, the homepage for criminaldefenseattorneyseo.com, a satellite sub-brand of SEOJesus.com. I think for now that's probably all we need to do. Now one reason I use Surfer is because it's so easy just to copy those requirements, put them into ChatGPT, and I get a content score of 90. This I think we're going to have to do a bit more back and forth finessing, but I think the final content may well be actually more optimized. While that's generating, I've forgotten we actually need to give it the call to action of claim your Ascension Method SEO strategy call, and the same for all of you watching. If you value fast execution, if you want effective SEO rankings as soon as possible, then you too can click the link below and book in a free strategy call with my team, where we can basically go through your website, work out what's holding you back, and try and identify the low-hanging fruit, where realistically, in the next 3 to 6 months, what are the main keywords that could totally transform your business, and how can you rank them effectively without waiting forever and without blowing your budget. So we're famous for our very strategic approach. We just want to identify a small handful of bottom of funnel keywords, these popular searches made by people who are already ready to sign up, targeting that with effective content, and then building the right backlinks to those pages to push those pages higher up on Google. Now many backlink providers will simply go out and insert a link on a page on the internet somewhere. We tend to go further than that. Not only do we do guest posting, but we actually use tools like Surfer and Page Optimizer Pro to create highly optimized guest posts, where those guest posts themselves can actually rank on Google. And what's more, they're talking about your brand as if that journalist or blogger was actually writing an editorial on your brand. So rather than just a random link somewhere on the internet, you've got this optimized page that might actually rank on Google, and then when people actually click on it, they're going to be impressed by why your brand is important. This is particularly valuable for Google because those manual quality raters, these people who are tasked with visiting your website and evaluating it in line with Google's requirements to see is the algorithm actually performing what we want it to do. In those manual search quality rater guidelines, they talk about reputation research, where they're literally told to go and Google your brand name and see what the internet says about your brand. So when you're doing your link building, you want to have kind of a PR approach and make sure the internet is really praising and trusting your brand. And you can do that at the same time as link building. And whilst you're doing all that, you're also building your digital footprint to train AI search. So if you want to get into AI search results, whether it's ChatGPT or AI overviews, then you need to be getting your message across that your brand is the best solution for this problem. Now let's see if Claude has finished. So you can see Claude is really thinking about this now. So it's being hyper compliant to all the requirements. Okay, it's given me an MD file, which I can't even open. I can't open that. Load it in preview. Okay, creating a HTML version. Now you can see how time is dragging on now, and this is kind of overkill. This is why I'm always telling people that some people will obsess over optimizing the wrong things. The chance in the vast majority of niches, even though these kinds of correlational tools like Surfer, Quora, they've been around for a long time, but most people are just not using them. I can look at any search result and go through the top 10, and most of them don't have great content according to those tools. So why run when you can walk? To outrun a lion, you don't need to be the fastest runner, you just need to be faster than the slowest runner. I'm not saying be lazy, but you can see so many SEOs, they get stuck in this trap of obsessing over single pages of content, when really you want rapid execution. Find those 5 to 10 keywords that are really going to matter to you. I'm not talking about info keywords, where people are going to make that search and get their answer from the AI overview and never click through to your website. If you're a criminal defense attorney SEO, or you're a criminal defense attorney, you just want to show up for the people actually looking for you. So truthfully, that's probably 5 to 10 keywords. Get the content up to a good standard, and then build lots of backlinks to it. And that's really all it takes. That's why I was able to walk it for SEO for nursing homes. I'm in a new tab, so while we're waiting, let's have another look, even in this tab, number 1 above the AI overview. And then let's see, still top of the AI overview. Is my video in there anyway? No, that's someone else's video there. But then I've got the video pack as well. Where have my press releases got to? They're doing the right thing of pushing up my main website, but the actual press releases seem to have disappeared now. But no matter, they've done their job. Let's have a look at the video rankings. Where's my video? My video is at the top of the video rankings. Okay, we've now got our, okay, here we go, criminal defense attorney SEO. Now this is actually gone a step further than I intended. I did intend to actually build the site in HTML using Claude, but right now I just wanted to actually get the right text to actually optimize the page. So let's copy that and now head over to Page Optimizer Pro, and we want to see, even better, you can see Page Optimizer Pro has actually imported everything I've already got on the website. So that's actually really clever, but I'm not bothered about that for now because we're replacing all of it. So if I now paste in everything Claude has produced, what is our content score now? Needs work. Let's update the optimization score because I don't think that's right. There we go, 75. Still says needs work, but crucially with Page Optimizer Pro we can actually see what needs work. So the main content is actually great, subheadings are good, so it's the page title and the search engine title that's the problem. So let's have a look at the page title. Let's just grab all of those. Make sure, I don't want to update the whole HTML at once, so give me page titles that include, and hopefully this just gives me a list of suggestions. Criminal defense attorney SEO services for defense lawyers. Let's try that. So I'm going to put this here as the H1, make sure that's H1, and now update optimization score. Now realistically we're never going to get this right because we've got a mix of plurals, attorney versus lawyer, plural versus singular. So it's going to end up as nonsense. Okay, so by keyword stuffing and doing criminal defense attorney SEO services for defense lawyer and attorney is now up to 85 and good. Now we can still improve the search engine title, but I think we can do that actually on the site given we know it's pulling from the site. So I'm now just going to copy all this back. I'm going back to Claude and I'm going to say design this content into HTML that I can paste into my default WordPress Gutenberg code editor. Make sure it looks smart, professional, businesslike, and looks elite and prestigious. I'm going to paste that in there. But again, I'm going to grab my SEO strategy call link, include regular CTAs to seogears.com/SEO strategy call. So this time I do want this to update. It doesn't look bad at this point. I'm wondering if we can just make it better. Longer term, you would want to come in and add images and all of that, but I'm always telling people Primarily, we're just looking to rank text on a page. Once we've got traffic, we can come back and improve it. But if you're trying to make every single page perfect as soon as you publish it, you're just not going to publish that much. While waiting for that to load, don't forget you can join my free school community. We've got some really active discussions going on here. Today I've just received $8,000 in affiliate commission. That was from a single Reddit comment on a single Reddit thread. I think I mentioned this earlier actually. But you can see lots of engagement, really good community. You probably recognize some of these names. We've got some quite big players in the industry taking part. So click the link below and join for free. And then should you wish to, if you want more time with me personally, as well as a whole load of my courses and resources, then I'm moving over the Disciples of SEO Jesus from our former Slack channel onto School as well. So the classroom is filling out there as well. I've still got this HTML loading, but even in the first version, you see how it's done a good job with how we've got this gradient in the background, and generally it looks pretty good, far better than me trying to piece it together in a drag and drop builder like Elementor. It's harder to come back and edit, but generally all you have to do in that case is copy your existing HTML, put it back into Claude, make your edits, and then paste it back into your website. So I don't recommend it for everyone all the time, but for these little lead generation sites, they're great. Incidentally, in the Disciples, I've just been uploading my AI funnels course. I've still got to add the rest of the modules, but if I head over to the original Thrivecart course, which I'm migrating over, this shows how I've made literally thousands of dollars through these kinds of AI landing pages. So I basically take a lot of my materials, whether it's course transcripts, calls, webinars, put that into Claude, generate an ebook and other resources. I literally generate the cover and the mock-up using ChatGPT images, and then I build top converting sales pages with AI. So I take it far beyond what you're seeing today. I'll basically look at top performing direct response copywriters in the supplements niche, the coaching space, these kinds of aggressive offers. I'll copy their landing pages, the full HTML, and give that to Claude as inspiration of this is what I want my offer to look like. But in this case, we're simply trying to rank a page. And this looks great. This looks very proper and professional in the way that law firms do. So that's exactly what we want. I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to go back to WordPress, paste this into the HTML, and I just need to bring out the title. We can grab that from Pop. So let's grab that H1. I'm going to add the title at the top. Let's publish that. Now currently this is going to be on a sub page. But let's view that page and see how it looks. Okay, not bad. It has kind of been compressed into the editor template. You see it doesn't come very far out, but for the time being, that's okay. Again, I'm just going to switch the theme over to Cadence. I think it might help with that because it's a bit more flexible and it allows me to set the homepage easily. So I'm going to install that and activate. And now I'm going to go to Customize, Site Identity, no, it's Homepage Settings, Static Page, Criminal Defense Attorney SEO. Let's see if that layout has improved at all. You see it's a little bit wider than it was before. That's just the theme, because the theme's giving the content much more space to breathe. We've now got multiple H1s on the page, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it. See, if this were on Elementor, then I could simply set this to Elementor Canvas and take out all of this. But for the time being, I really want to get this point across that done is better than perfect. If a page starts ranking, then you can always come back and edit it. So let's move on for now, because we've got the text on the page. We've done what we intended to do. We do have multiple H1s on the page. It's not going to cause a massive issue. In fact, if anything, we're keyword stuffing here. We might even get a small benefit out of this. So let's go back to Page Optimizer Pro, and we'll see if we can update optimization score. Is that going to pull the search engine title? Here we are. Pop will fetch the most current version of your web page from your URL and load it into the editor. Now this might mess up on the grounds that we've got multiple H1s currently. So that's imported everything. Now update optimization score. I think it's just sitting around 85, but good enough for now. In fact, we can see the old version of the site here. So if I now just refresh this, we should see that's a big upgrade. All in a very short amount of time with AI, SEO optimized and conversion optimized. We've got our call to action everywhere. So we're talking about all the right stuff on the page. So for now, I'm just going to copy that. Now, last time I didn't use Omega Indexer just to mix it up a bit, but this time I am, because it's still my favorite. We can literally get this on Google within a couple of hours. Create and run and proceed. And then it'll be interesting to see where this lands without any off-page work. But I suspect, given the competition in this niche, we are going to have to be a bit more creative, a bit more aggression, a bit more power, which basically means a lot of links. So we'll see how it lands, and then we'll come back to it.